Good morning. It's Wednesday, August 23rd. And the longer I live, the more I recognize that there are so many things that are going on the planet Earth that we're lucky to be alive today. And I want to tell you a little story right now about Japan. And Japan is preparing to release into the Pacific Ocean radioactive wastewaters from its Fukushima nuclear plant. And they're going to do this as early as Thursday. And they're doing this in spite of the fierce objections of some countries. Now, this plan to release this water has been in the works for years and years. Started, I think, way back in 2019. Well, that's not so far back, 4 years ago. But space is running out on the areas to store the materials on Japan itself. And right now they have no other options except to release it. And Japanese officials have told the world that the wastewater has been continually treated to filter out all the removable harmful elements, and then they're stored in tanks. And when the wastewater is released, officials said it will be heavily diluted with clean water so that it has very low concentrations of radioactive materials. However, there's always a however. However, some scientists worry that the wastewater, even diluted, could harm the fishes and the turtles and the whales, etc. And let's not forget the clams and the mussels and the mollusks and all the different types of critters that live in the ocean. So pollutants could accumulate in the already frail ecosystem. Now, I don't know what the Japanese have done to experiment to ensure that over the course of time this wastewater will not damage the ocean. And even if they do these experiments, I don't know that they can really be 100% certain that it's going to work. But how do you test this situation? How do you ensure to the rest of the world that when they dump this water in the Pacific Ocean, it's not going to affect the marine life there? I don't know how they could prove that. Maybe they've been doing experiments for many, many years in large pools of water and dumping stuff in there and seeing what happens to the fish and the wildlife and the turtles, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know what Japan has done to ensure that dumping this water in the Pacific Ocean is going to be safe for the rest of the world. It seems to me that it's a monumental job, and I don't know what you can do with this wastewater. Maybe they should have just boiled it and let it rise up into the atmosphere. How do you get rid of contaminated water? Where do you put it? Do you put it in the soil? I mean, this is a monumental problem, an issue. We need some great scientists to figure this thing out. Because who knows? Who knows what's really going to happen? And it may take years to happen. Dumping stuff into the ocean will not be something that we, the humans in this world, can recognize right away. Are we going to send divers down there to look at the water when the ocean is full of this contaminated or semi-contaminated or once contaminated water? I don't know how we're going to do this. How are we going to check and make sure that this particular episode doesn't affect the whole wide world? And I can understand why many countries are against it. But I am sure those countries haven't done any research either. And I think that the Japanese have probably done a lot more research on this particular problem than anybody else. And I say that from knowing that their history, that they're a pretty careful people. But it's still a major, major issue because the world's oceans are critical. And they're heating up. Let us not forget the heating of the earth right now. Who knows how that will affect the ocean when they dump this water in? Now, I'm sure that the amount of water that Japan has to dump in is minuscule compared to the size of the Pacific Ocean. But still, we have known that many times chemical spills and stuff do terrible damage to the environment and to the conditions. So I don't know how the Japanese can get rid of this water without dumping it into the Pacific Ocean. Treat it to filter out all the removable harmful elements and then stored in these tanks. And much of the water has been treated a second and a third time, according to the state-owned electricity firm Tokyo Electric Power Company. So when the wastewater is finally released, it will be heavily diluted with the clean water, as I said before. And Japan has arranged with third parties to monitor the discharge during and after its release, including the United Nations nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency. And this has a staff that will be stationed in the newly opened Fukushima office that will monitor the situation for years to come. Now, I can tell you, personally, I don't think much of the UN. I don't think they do a great job at all. But let's hope in this particular situation they hired the right people to watch over this situation. Because you can't screw this up. The whole world is at stake with the Pacific Ocean being loaded with previously radioactive water. This is an entirely new area. This is something that nobody has ever done before. This is like a monumental experiment that could affect many different types of life forms, including humans. So it has to be carefully monitored. And at the slightest irregularity, the world must be notified and action must be taken. And I don't know what that action could possibly be. Nuclear energy is something that you know is a devastating force. Radioactive materials devastating. So what could happen that would trigger a worldwide emergency? I don't know, but I hope these people are on the look, on the watch for it. I hope they have prepared a whole series of experiments and testing procedures that make sure that not only the Pacific Ocean is saved, and not only the life forms are stabilized, but that the rest of the human population is not affected by some vapors that occur, or who could imagine what could happen. So I leave you with that. A dangerous experiment that will affect everybody, all nations of the world. Have a great day. Bye.